So the themes that I'm offering for my classes between now and the winter solstice are all about keeping our spark in the dark. So as the days get shorter and shorter and we have more night, more of the dark, how do we keep stoking our own fire and cultivating, creating our own light? And that's not to bypass the opportunity that we have to mirror nature and give ourselves the opportunity to turn within, to rest and rejuvenate. So my intention will be to balance a lot of the spark that I'm offering through these physical practices with also some rest and rejuvenation. But I would like to invite us to start from a standing position, please. So I'll have you stand up, and we're going to just start moving in any way that feels good. So I'll make a suggestion of swinging your arms and rocking from side to side. Letting the arms swing forward and back, perhaps. Moving right off of the bat instead of directing breath work, because as we begin to move, our breath just naturally comes and deepens and changes. And then once we begin to focus on the breath, for many of us, it becomes a little bit easier to sustain that more complete conscious breath. Maybe already you might notice that your body wants a deeper breath in and out. Lift one heel, lift the opposite. Let's stay on one side now with the heel lifted, and let's make circles with that ankle and your wrists, please. Every movement that you make, I invite you to notice how it feels for you. I invite you to move in your comfortable, accessible range of motion, to listen and honor your body if there's discomfort that feels like a warning signal or pain. Let's switch directions. Deeper breath in and out of the nose to begin. And begin to focus on the sensations that you're creating, especially of that ankle. Notice if the sensation is starting to feel like warming. And other side. Maybe your hands are at your hips. Maybe you're holding on to something at home for a little more stability as you make circles with opposite ankle and wrist. Switching. Beautiful. Come to center. Take a moment to feel both of your feet as you place them on the ground, coming forward and back. So you plant your feet, all four corners, big toe ball mound, pinky toe ball mound, inner and outer heels. Find a little bounce there. Good. Now with a micro bend in the knees, I invite you to lift all toes and at the same time reach your arms to the degree that that's okay. And then lower the toes and slowly lower the arms. We will add on ankles and knees, but first it's just about lifting the toes, maybe giving them a spread, reaching the arms and then lowering the toes and the arms. And you can start to match. Big full breath in, like you're filling your whole body with breath, and out through the nose, toes down and spreading, maybe arms now behind you, a few more rounds, lift and spread the toes, and now spread the fingers and lower the toes, lower your arms down and back. Very nice. This time, now let's bend the knees, but the point is we want to get some ankle motion in there. So see how much you can create flexion or a bend in the ankles and then straighten the knees and reach the arms. Let's bend the knees without caving them in. So press your feet and your knees away from one another. Nice bend in the ankle joints and reach. Maybe a bend in the elbow joints now as well. Stretch for the triceps. Go lay down. With your breath. Recruit the glutes, muscles around the sits bones, arms down and back. Reach, maybe bend the elbows. Press yourself back up. Beautiful. Now, either hands to your hips or one hand hold on to something here. Start over on that left foot, micro bend in the left knee. Option to pick up the right knee and lower, or keep the right knee bent, straighten, bend, straighten, bend, maybe arms as well. Bend and straighten. Think about both sides of your body hugging in towards a strong midline. So feel power deep in the abdominals. Good. Spread the fingers, spread your toes. Lengthen through the crown of your head and soften the grip on your standing toes. Rest when you need to, calm up and down if you need to. Let's switch sides. You can skip the arms if you like. Up and down is plenty. Or once again, kick out, straighten, hold on to something around you, or there's no better or worse. Add your arms, bending elbows and knee. Make a note of this kind of sequence and how this might feel at the side of the bed first thing in the morning. You want to join in? I need you to go into your bed. I need you to keep going, everybody. I need you to go in your bed. Stay. Good. Let all of that go. Take a moment, plant your feet. Inhale, reach. Exhale, lower. Biggest breath of the day. Let's do that one more time. Inhale, reach. Exhale, lower. Let's shake it out. Again, you might like to continue to support yourself for where we're going here in this standing sequence. We'll start again over on this left leg. Make a real suction cup with the left foot, micro bend in the left knee. You can start with hands to the hips. And here we go. Lift the right arm and you're moving right arm and right leg towards one another and then reach. So invitation to feel the strengthening at the side seam of the right side of the body here. Reach. And foot is active. Outer hip is active. With your breath, firm the abdominal wall. Squeezing arm and leg towards one another. Yeah, firm hand, firm foot. Last time. Now plant both of your feet, reach both of your arms, and let's stretch that out. So we did some strengthening on the right side. Now we'll stretch it out. Press your feet away from one another. Draw the waistline back, lift, and then side stretch. Good. Come on back to center. Other side. Is it hands to the hips and working simply with the left leg, or arm and leg as well? Away from one another, squeeze towards one another. With breath, exhale, lifting, spread fingers and toes. Standing toes again, light and spreading. One side may feel different than the other, that's okay. Last time. Good. Reach and then give that side a stretch out. Press the feet away from one another. Draw the waistline back. Navel back and up. It's easy to hang the head, chin and ears back. Good. Interlace the fingers if that's okay with you. Press parallel feet away from one another. Does it feel okay to draw circles with the palms of your hands on the ceiling? So a little bit of a rotation here of your torso. Make it work for you. Core engaged, tailbone long. So you feel like you're stretching all of the corners of your torso. Hands to the hips if it doesn't feel good to have hands in the air. Switch. Good. Back to center. Maybe a breath. Come on up to the ball mounds of the feet. Press the interlaced hands if you have them reached towards the ceiling. Maybe you're up on the ball mounds of the feet. You can come up and down. Biggest breath in. Invitation to hold that inhalation at the top. And then exhale. Come out. One more shake. Shake that out. Wider set feet. Roll your shoulders. Does the breath want to deepen? Stay with that breath. And then finally, head side to side. Just a couple of times. And from side stretches with the neck to our beautiful side lunges. Feet parallel, bend one knee and then the next. Mindful of bending or flexion in ankles, knees, and hip creases, rather than rounding at your low back. All the while, outer hips drawing towards one another. You can add arms, reach, come together, and reach, come together. Nice. So you reach, feel the shoulder blades draw towards one another, but those front ribs keep hugging in. Good. And one more time each side. Standing warm up today. Back to center. Open up the stance. Come into your goddess squat. Squeeze the heels towards one another. Squeeze hip points towards one another with tailbone long and waistline back. Join thumbs and fingertips. Firm the abdominal wall, and I invite you to twist just from the mid-torso. Just find a rhythm that serves you. Feel yourself twisting from strong abdominals, just from mid-torso. Feel the mobility at the upper back, that thoracic spine. We want to retain our movement there, our mobility there. Good. Last offering in this standing warm-up. Come to cactus, arms, straighten the legs, reach, and then pull down, draw the shoulder blades towards one another, bend the knees, and then maybe even in a dynamic way, straighten and reach and slowly come down, root down, rise up. Big breath in, come down, knit those front ribs in, maybe more explosive, reach. Good. Last time. Come on up, hands to your hips, heel toe, maybe a little bit of a hop. One more, shake it out. Biggest shake of your practice. Take a moment at the top of your mat. And notice how you feel. Maybe one hand to the heart, to the chest, to your symbolic heart. Feel the aliveness in the heart, the breath in the body. Notice. Notice if that kind of movement feels like a spark, feels like it could light a spark. If that feels appropriate. Remember, this is a time when nature turns within. So this can be a time that we also turn within and we find balance. We find ways that we can light our spark when we need to. Let's do one sun salute A slowly. Plant the feet. Inhale, reach your arms. Bend your knees quite a bit, and let's take some time to get into our first forward fold. So maybe we start halfway. Maybe the feet are a little bit wider. Maybe we bend the knees and take our time. We might even pulse into it, coming up and then coming back down. I'm making so many suggestions because you are building your own practice. You are planting the seeds for your own winter practice. And it can be so nourishing to have a practice from home at this time of year. Maybe it's a bit hard to get outside and get into the car to go somewhere for movement. And if you can create a habit of movement somewhere special in your home, where you light a candle, where you play music that feels like it can be useful in lighting your spark, then wonderful. And if I can support you in that, even better. Halfway lift, let's plant the hands and step back to a plank position. Yes, knees can come down. No matter how you're setting up your plank, press yourself away from the ground. Spread the fingers and make sure you're utilizing index finger and thumb, that you're lifting chin and ears and deep abdominals. Come to the knees, up to 5 push-ups, maybe. Dial those hands away from one another. Keep the face and shoulders lifted as you come halfway down, elbows close, and press back up. That may be enough. Relax your face. Exhale as you come halfway. And up to the top of a push-up. Come on down when you feel ready and pause in your prone position. Otherwise, maybe 2 more. Hands are strong, dialing away from one another. Elbows grazing torsos, but shoulders away from your ears. Nice long neck. Last time, lowering and lifting. And let's come all the way down to finger tops, to anchoring the tops of feet into the ground, lengthening tailbone, anchoring pubic bone. Let's curl the chest up, draw the shoulders back, back of the neck long, and exhale, lower. Let's do that 4 more times. Inhale, reach, abdominals strong, lower. With a breath. Feel the front of the body stretch. Sometimes in therapeutic movement, we can equate opening up the front of the body with igniting a spark. Tuck the toes, press yourself down, maybe hips down, or maybe hips high. Either completely valid. Within the context of a movement practice, symbolically turning within with hips down and forehead supported by tops of the hands or a bolster, a pillow, great. We're in an inversion here. Either way. If downward facing dog is what you're choosing, are the hands really working, pressing down and forward? Firm around the elbows without locking. Freedom in the neck. Bend the knees, stretch the hips back more.
and lift the whole front body towards the back body so you can feel the spine almost straighten and lengthen. Find your breath. Keep the spark ignited with full nose breathing if that's possible. Let's come up to top mat. Halfway rise with your inhale and exhale bow. Parallel feet, root down, rise up. Focus on the rising here and the reaching, filled with breath, and bring the hands down through center. Pause for one inhale and one long exhale. Feel the breath and feel your body. Take a moment to feel your body, the sensations within and around you, the sensations that emanate from your skin, that inner and outer shimmer. Hands to the hips. You may like to support yourself for where we are going. Option number 1. Step the right leg back. You might bend the knee, hug the outer hips towards one another, and either step it forward or lift the right knee out in front of you. Same thing, you're hugging outer hips towards one another. And the invitation is to find a slow, steady rhythm without really focusing on momentum. So at first, just focus on being able to find some muscular energy here, some stability here as you come down, having a sense that you can hug outer hips towards one another, that you're not gripping with your front toes. And then once you've got that, maybe we add on. Be aware of core, like you're zipping pubic bone all the way up to breastbone. And then maybe we add arms. Swinging the arms back, keep the front ribs knitting in, and maybe we reach the arms high. Relax your face. Gaze is soft and steady, somewhere in the space in front of you that isn't moving. There's no gripping or forcing if possible, so find the variation of this movement that allows a bit of fluidity. And then let's pause here, upright crescent lunge. Again, find stability. It might be a wider stance. Draw the whole waistline back. Options, hands to the hips, ribs, shoulders, elbows, chin, ears back. Option number 2, interlace the hands, maybe, and shine. As if you could be supported by that back leg. Keep drawing the whole front body back. The tailbone feels nice and long. Good. Reach the arms. Let's flow between sides, reach forward and down, step back to your plank position. Invitation to hold for a beat or two. Knees can come down. Press yourself away from the ground. Relax the face as the chin and the ears move back in space. Feel arms strong like pillars. Feel front body gathering strength. And when you're ready to come down, face and shoulders stay lifted, hands dial away from one another. Lower right into your big nose breath. Inhale to lift and open and shine. And then with control, hips down or up. What serves your practice?
And notice how your body is feeling as we continue to warm here. And when you feel ready, let's come up to the top of your yoga mat. Continue to inhale as you lift your torso and find length. Find a fold. Find a lift. Think lift as you inhale. And back to center. What does center mean to you in this moment? Feel breath. Maybe hands stacked. Feel aliveness in the body. Prepare body and mind for where we're going on this side. So this time we're stepping our left leg back. Will the hands come to your hips, especially those hip points, so you can keep them hugging towards one another. Keep the core engaged, just as you just find your slow, stable movement to begin, and decide, okay, does it feel better to step back and then step forward, hold on something, pretend I'm holding on to something? Or does it honestly feel okay to step forward and lift the left knee? If you're lifting the knee, foot is active, and think outer hips, squeeze, 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 squeeze towards one another. Maybe we'll add the arms too. Never any have to. Relax your front toes and face, and then steady gaze. Next time you step back, hold. You might open up your stance a little bit so that you feel even hips hugging towards one another with the strength of your core, spacious low back. Hands to hips with shoulders and elbows back, or maybe an interlace once again. As long as ears, chin, and front ribs can knit in, and that doesn't feel too taxing on the low back. It takes a lot of core awareness to kind of move into a big back bend in a standing posture. And it doesn't feel right for me on this side. Think about one of the intentions, kind of opening up front line of the body, and feel that opening up the front of the torso and then down through the left side, the whole left line. And then find a way that that feels appropriate for you. When you feel ready, let's reach and we will flow. Nice and slow, take your time, step back to your plank position. Let's perhaps hold, it's just an invitation. Pressing yourself away from the floor. Lift front body to back, including lifting face up towards back of the skull. Keep the face lifted as you slowly lower. Keep the face relaxed. Find your cobra, could be an upward facing dog. Lots of length here as the shoulder blades squeeze towards one another, and then lower. And then you decide, hips down or hips high. Where can you breathe? And if the hips are high, bend the knees. So as you press your hands down and forward, your hips stretch way back. Yes, good. Good. Where can there be softening? Sometimes we can think of our inhalation as a time of expansion, fueling our inner flame. You might focus on where that inhale is going to create space, to create expansion. If you like imagery or symbolism, you can go with that. Is it creating space somewhere physically, or maybe creating space emotionally or mentally, creating space from a certain narration or story? And let's take it up to top mat when you feel ready. Halfway lift with an inhale. And a bow. Hands to your hips, root down and rise. Pay attention to the inhale. Moving in time with your lift. We might be holding on to something yet again here as I invite you to come to your left leg. So more weight on your left leg. Always options. Option number 1, right toes or a kickstand. Option number 2, lifting right heel back behind you, but hug the outer hips towards one another. Core is strong. Option number 3, maybe you're reaching back for the top of the right foot to kick into right hand, but your tailbone is still really long and the whole waistline is moving back. Shoulders square, chin and ears moving back. If it serves you, left arm can reach. Now, once again, your gaze is very steady. That's why my gaze is right out in front of me here. Consider that front line lengthening, but stability supporting that in core and back body. When you come out, doesn't matter where you are here, when you make a transition, bring the hands back to the hips. See if you can keep the right leg lifted. Certainly place it down if you need to. And we are transitioning into a warrior 3 or any variation of. Let's keep both knees bent as we send the right leg back behind us, and then straighten as you hug outer hips and inner thighs in towards one another with the strength of your core. Lengthen, tailbone to back heel, and zip, pubic bone to breastbone, shoulders back. And then take a big step back. Good. And right away, open up that back foot. Come into a heel to heel alignment or something a little bit wider. Warrior 2. Squeeze the legs towards one another. Front knee bends open. Exalted warrior. And extended side angle. Root down, moving from core strength. Exalted warrior, chin and ears back. Core engaged, root into your feet. Hand can stay at the hip, maybe straight up. Maybe arm reaches above top ear. Toes light and spreading, feet active like suction cups. Shining. Some core coming a bit later in this practice. Think about every pose as an opportunity to engage your core, not for aesthetic reasons, but from the importance of the postural support that our core gives us. Like all of these movements are originating from deep abdominal strength. So feel that this whole time. The last exalted warrior here. Invitation to windmill the hands and frame the front foot. Pick up the back heel. Here we are in a runner's lunge. From this runner's lunge, lower down the right knee. You might want something underneath your right knee. Plant the right hand. Pivot out the right foot. Let's come to a variation of a side plank. Lift the left leg. Maybe left foot stays on the ground if that feels better. Tailbone long, whole waistline back. Maybe you lift and once again you're radiating, just as you did in that standing sequence there. From core strength, from that deep abdominal strength, pressing into the bottom hand, lifting yourself out of that low shoulder. So both shoulder blades are plugged on the upper back ribs and really reaching. Spread your fingers, spread your toes, chin and ears back. Just a lovely long line from crown of the head to heel. Some of you might stay right here. Maybe if you can keep your tailbone long and the core engaged, maybe the top knee bends and you come into a little quadricep stretch here as well. I've said before that my long torso and short legs makes this a little bit accessible, so just know that it is all about how it feels. There is no have to when it comes to just exploring options. And then we're eventually coming down mindfully, core strong, 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 strong. Let's come down to your tabletop cat and cow with your breath. Open up the knees a little bit wider, touch the toes, sink your hips, and see if it feels okay to walk both of your hands over to the left. Big side stretch for the right side of your body after strengthening right side, just like we did standing earlier. Let your forehead rest on something. Feel the breath fill up the body. And make time for the release. And let's come back to center. Beautiful. Maybe through tabletop, you come up to the top of your yoga mat, maybe through a downward facing dog. Let's take a deep breath in through the nose and a long exhale out the mouth. Like a sigh. One more. Like you could release stagnation and just open up to sparkle and shimmer. Root down, rise up. A whole adventure on the other side. Reach your fingertips away from your feet. Enjoy the breath. Notice how the body is feeling here. Now all the weight is moving into the right foot. Remember, you could hold on to something or hands to the hips as the left toes might be a kickstand. Left foot might lift up in the air with the foot active. Start to hug both sides of your body towards one another, almost like you could grow a little bit taller here. And maybe, it's just a maybe, that the hand finds the top of the left foot. Foot presses into hand, hand presses into foot. Tailbone stays long. And both legs drawn towards one another with the strength of core. Maybe right arm reaches. If so, there's that internal rotation, so pinky finger spirals towards your midline. And then think about whole front body just moving back into space, like you could rest back into your own back line. Right toes light and spreading. You could take a breather before moving into Warrior 3 for sure. If you're moving into it, bend both of your knees, hug both sides of your body towards one another. Core is engaging as you slowly send your left leg back. And then you can straighten both legs. Keep hugging inner and outer thighs towards one another. Zip pubic bone to chest, shoulders back, maybe fly. Keep breathing. And when you step back, rotate the foot. So you come into maybe a wide set heel to heel alignment. Squeeze the feet towards one another without this front knee caving in. Tailbone is long. Let's exalt. Chin and ears back. And then find core strength rather than momentum. As we reach away from our strong center, as we gather strength from it, it's almost like you could root down into your feet through core strength and then radiate core strength as you come into your side stretches that you're going to make work for you. Press core strength down into your feet. Last cycle here. Press down to rise up. Last exalted warrior. Let's windmill the hands to frame the front foot. Pick up the back heel. Runner's lunge. Lower down the left knee, left hand. Pivot out the left foot. Is there something underneath the left knee to support it? Does the right foot stay down or lift? And we shine out of our center brightly here, spreading top fingers, spreading toes. Chin back, ribs back. Lift out of low shoulder. Really use the standing left hand like a suction cup. Yeah, come up and down. Breathe like it's easy. Mindfully come out to your tabletop if it feels okay. Cat and cow. Shine and move within. Finding that rhythm both in your practice and in your late autumn to winter season. Finding that rhythm of moving within and opening back up. Once you come back to neutral, touch the big toes, open up the knees perhaps a bit more, and walk the hands over to the right. Lovely stretch for the left side of your body now. Can the forehead rest on something? Breathe. Let's come back to center. Some options now. Come up to your tabletop. Option number one, another round of a variation of side plank where right hand and right knee stay on the ground. Right foot is pivoted there and you're coming up like so. Or option number two, you can practice side plank on the right hand or the right forearm. So find the side plank that's right for you. Maybe you're stacking firm feet and legs and coming up into Vashisthasana. There's lots of different options here. Certainly bottom knee can stay down. If you are up on that right hand, really use the muscles of the right hand to firm around the elbow, to lift out of shoulder joint, to lift the hips. And then rather than hang the head forward, ears and chin and ribs back. Again, can we radiate out of that strong core? Whatever variation you are in, I just invite you to mindfully switch. Most important, we're not collapsing into your low shoulder joint. So you're being mindful there. If you're on the hand, using the muscles of your hands, front body in, strong core, just helping you to shine from all corners. When you feel ready, come down, and I invite you to come down to a prone position and come down to a sphinx. So you're on your forearms now. Elbows could be directly underneath shoulders or walked further out in front of you if that's too much of a prone back bend. So where will your parallel forearms be? They could likely be slightly narrower. Most of us place our elbows quite wide when we do this. And then press your forearms away from one another to make space for the shoulders and the shoulder blades to move back. Engage your core by anchoring your pubic bone, lengthening your tailbone, and then think about sliding forward. So your forearms are hugging towards you, and that can help you move your shoulders back even more. Find your breath. apart the elbows. Come down and rest your forehead on your stacked hands. Biggest breath in and out. I invite the mind to watch the breath. What if that's all that the mind had to do right now? And you just kept gently reminding the mind to utilize that focal point. Walk both of your legs further away from you. And then gently anchor the tops of your feet and ensure that your legs are parallel. So they're not open. They're pretty close, parallel with one another. Maybe we tried this standing. Maybe it wasn't right for us. So we'll try variations from this prone position. Anchor the pubic bone once again and engage your core. And then bend the right knee. Maybe that's plenty as you activate the right foot and really hug the right heel into the right hip. You'll feel all the strength at the back of that right leg, your hamstrings, and this is great. Can you keep the core engaged and your pubic bone close to the ground? Maybe you prop yourself up on your left forearm, which stays parallel with the short edge of your mat, and you reach back. Can you reach back without the right knee opening up to the right? You might reach back for the ankle or the top of the feet and kick foot into hand, hand into foot as you square your torso to top mat. Feel your hip points, settle them down into the ground. That's keeping your pelvis stable, keeping your low back really spacious. Can you feel that? If it's constricting the low back, if you feel any discomfort, please just come to the point where it's okay. Okay? Where can you breathe fully? Let's release whatever you're doing on that side. Pause to feel the difference in each leg. And when you are ready, anchor the pubic bone, core is strong, bend the left knee, activate the left foot, squeeze the heel towards the hip points, keep rooting into the ground, maybe prop yourself up and reach back, keeping your torso square towards the ground. Keeping thighs parallel with one another. It's comfortable for the knee, comfortable for the low back if you're here. Breathe. Shoulder blades stay back. One more breath in. One long breath out. Release that. Release the head. Big breath in and out. Feel the spaciousness of that. Breathing inner body bright. Shimmy the pelvis from side to side and then barrel roll over to your back, enlivening, warming our core. Core like the earth's center, our molten center. Let's bend the knees, lengthen
crown of the head away from your tailbone. And let's begin. See what it feels like to lift the legs so your thighs are perpendicular to the ground, shins parallel to the ground, feet active. Come to robot arms, really close to your body. Chin is neutral. Back of the neck is long. Firm the abdominal wall, like all of that tissue could move back and up. And then exhale, slowly lower right heel to the ground and lift slowly without momentum, and slowly lower left. And lift. Small movement, but big feeling. A lot of feeling there between the pubic bone and the navel. Keep hugging all of that musculature in. We talk about like the feeling of drawing into a corset, not the greatest description, but kind of gets the message there. Those deep abdominal muscles are corset-like in the way that they wrap around the lower torso. If you need to rest with both feet on the ground or hugging the knees in, please do. Keep the face relaxed. One more each side. And hug in. What feels good here? Sometimes we do want, after some core, a big breath in through the nose and a long exhale out of the mouth, but sometimes big circles with knees in opposite direction can feel good, because that's a lot on our hip flexors too, when we have our hips flexed like that. Keep the right knee hugging in, invitation to lengthen and hover the left leg. That may be enough, or interlace the hands just gently behind the base of the skull, firm the abdominal wall, and twist left elbow to right knee. Inhale and switch. Again, without momentum. Back to center. Left elbow to right knee. Left leg long and hovering. Inner thighs drawing towards one another. Last one here. Big breath in, long exhale, relax your face. And hug those knees in. Or lengthen out the legs. You might like that. Okay, after all that engagement, let's stretch out the front of the body. We'll start with a bridge pose. Then I'm going to offer yogi's pose for another back bend. Then I'm going to offer a supported back bend. If at any point you want to move into a supported back bend, if it feels time, then you are more than welcome. To begin with an active bridge, set up your feet so that they're parallel. Lengthen crown of the head away from tail as you come to robot arms once again. Press gently into the back of the head. Back of the neck is long. Press into the upper arms, elbows, and feet. Recruit your glutes as you start to lift your hips. Comfort in the knees. You might lift your chest as well. Without turning the head, you might lengthen the arms. I'm teaching holding on to the outer edges of the mat and gently drawing the shoulder blades in towards one another these days more than anything else. Feel the back body lift the front body and focus on the stretch and the space at the front of your body. More room for big inhales and long inhales. Focus on the connection of feet on the ground, the connection of your back line. I just adjusted my feet because I felt that in a knee, so feel free to do that. But back body strong. And when you feel ready, very slowly come down and give yourself a moment to pause before any counter pose if you can. There may be a lot to feel in this pause, and I invite you to feel it. There might be a deeper breath there for you. Bridge round 2. Some of you are working with a back bend Urdhva Dhanurasana. That is only if that is already in your practice. So you can set yourself up for round 2 of bridge, or you're welcome to move into your supported bridge. I'm not officially teaching this because I wouldn't teach this online. This again is only for people who have it in their practice. You can start by coming into the beginning of an active bridge. Again, if it is in your practice, to set your hands so that they're parallel, to press yourself up to the top of the head and maybe straighten those arms. Really important if you're practicing this that the knees are not splaying away from one another. You're continuing to hug inner thighs towards one another, and the feet don't turn away from one another, that the feet are still parallel. So wherever you are, you can hold there. And you can come down when you're ready. And allow yourself to pause and feel. Now, back bend number 3, just an invitation, is supported if you haven't gone there yet. I'll use a block, but you could use a bolster or a pillow or a rolled up blanket. And that's placing your support underneath the tailbone section of your low back. So if it's a block that you're using, either the lowest height or the second lowest height at the tailbone, and then lengthen crown of the head away from your tailbone so you feel like you are lengthening your low back. Some people like to straighten the legs, widen the feet. Find that supported back bend that serves you, a gentle inversion in this moment. Can the mind watch the breath? Does the breath feel smoother? Almost like it could move into more space within the body. I often teach imagining the breath sliding up and down the whole body. That can be a really nice practice. At the very least, a focusing practice, and at the very most, maybe balancing of internal energy, balancing of prana. Exhale down to the feet. And inhale, feel a stream of breath moving up to the head. It's just imagery. Now, the invitation here is to either stay just where you are if it's okay. You can, of course, come down at any time, but maybe we transform this supported bridge into a legs up the wall without the wall. So if you've got a block underneath the tailbone, you might adjust the block to its lowest height, or you might trade it out for a pillow or a bolster. Just start with the knees lifting and find the sweet spot there for support. Sometimes the block even lower is helpful, and see if you can find a place where the legs lift up in the air without too much effort. If you've got a wall right there and you'd like to utilize the wall, or if you've got a couch or a chair, you can for sure place the feet and the shins on that chair or that couch. The legs don't have to be straight if that feels like too much for the hamstrings. And listen to your own body when it comes to how long legs will be in the air. I'll maybe invite this for 2 or 3 minutes. This is also wonderful for this time of year. We might be maybe inside a bit more, maybe moving a bit less. So this is also getting lymphatic fluid flowing, which is what movement does. And that's one of the detoxification systems of our body. So even just placing the legs up in the wall, that in itself is supportive for our cardiovascular system. Strengthening for the heart. Soothing for the feet and the legs. Yeah, for sure, bend your knees anytime you need to. Just a bit more. If you haven't yet, let's bend the knees and pause. Might remove your prop. Might keep the knees hugging in. Now let's do a supine twist on each side before final relaxation. See if that feels okay. Both knees descending over to one side. Doesn't matter which one first here, whichever just felt intuitive. And see if you can make the most out of the side stretch part of this, where you feel a stretch between your hip bone and your ribs, if that's available. Might feel a stretch along the whole side seam, hip and thigh. You can encourage more of that by reaching the arm. So if you have both of your knees over to the left, then you could reach your right arm. If you have both of your knees to the right, you could reach your left arm overhead. And firm abdominal wall, one leg at a time. Come on out, back to center, and switch sides. Knees to opposite side, maybe opposite arm reaches. As you exhale, firm the abdominal wall, one leg at a time, back to center. Even out your hips, pause, breathe, feel. And before I invite you to build your nest, let the knees swish, swish, side to side. And then lengthen out your legs and find your resting position. I'm going to come up to a seat to offer some guided meditation, guided relaxation. Please find warmth here. Socks, sweaters, blankets. Get cozy, get comfy. When you find a position of rest, receive full body breath in through your nose. Spread your fingers, spread your toes, wrinkle your nose, and then release. And as you release along exhalation, release tension from face, from between eyebrows, around eyes, from jaw, from shoulders, chest, abdomen. Really feel tension release from the lower belly, from legs. And any residual tension, imagine it draining out of soles of the feet. And let yourself feel your body. Let yourself feel the vibration, the shimmer, inside and outside. I invite you to stay with whole body sensation as you rest for the next few moments.
Feel your whole body lying on the floor. Become aware of the space around your body. The room that you are in. A home that you are in. Widen and widen and widen your awareness. The neighborhood you are in. The city you are in. Widen the breath. Breathe to the edges of your body, to the edges of your space, of course, just using imagery, to the edges of your neighborhood. Next time you breathe in and you breathe to the edges of your body, bring movement to edges of your body, fingers and toes and mouth. And again, wrinkle to your nose, turn the head from side to side, reach your arms above your head, full body stretch. Maybe bend the knees, give them a swish, and rock to one side. Eventually coming to sit, where I once again invite you to feel and breathe the inner body bright. Deeper breath in and out. May we take a moment with hand to the heart and bowing towards the self for gratitude for these practices, for this time and ability to practice together. May we be supported by these practices throughout the coming hours and through this season. And may we be supported by our communities and our internal communities as well. Thank you so much for being here this evening and for practicing at home.